to the Festival of Storytellers.
I can't tell you how excited I am to be on right now. It's been a couple of weeks of excitement, getting prepared, and I've done a lot of things in my life, but this has got to be close to the top.
Thank you, Reader's Magnet, and thank you, John, for putting this forth and taking the chance on our authors in presenting this out to the world.
I've enjoyed this immensely, Joanne.
Ellie, so have I. Thank you for who you are, and thank you, Reader's Magnet. You all are beautiful, and you've worked so very hard, and we are blessed.
We are.
I thank everybody that's involved with this process, because we know writers need readers and writers need publishers. We thank Reader's Magnet and everybody that's involved. I love Reader's Magnet. They say, we share your stories with the world.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me today in my author's booth for the Festival of Storytellers. My name is Ebony Wallace, and I am the author of Even Birds Get Tired of Flying. So super excited today to be partnering with the Reader's Magnet so that they can get this story out into the world. Our topic for today's author booth is how to get unstuck. So a lot of times in life, we find ourselves in these situations and in these spaces where we're like, what's going on? I just feel stuck. So today we're going to take a look and a quick dive into how to get unstuck, because where you are is not necessarily where you're going to be. The first thing that we want to look at when we talk about getting unstuck is the ability to shift, okay? So I want you guys to just listen to that word, shift, to be able to shift, to get ready to shift. Because sometimes when you're just going through the motions of life, you're just in a very familiar pattern and it does not cause you to shift. But you have to get yourself prepared to shift. When you are prepared to shift, you can shift your mindset, which will change your perspective. You can shift your emotions, which will give you momentum, and you can sense your senses and your perception, the things that you see and move and do in everyday life. One thing I want to tell you when remembering to be unstuck is do not confuse a season of your life with a lifetime. Whatever you're going through right now, if it's not favorable, don't confuse it with a lifetime. Now, that was my introduction because I want to show you all the book, Even Birds Get Tired of Flying. One of the issues that we tackle in here is how to get unstuck, how to break free from the loops that we find ourselves in. So I'm going to take a second and give you guys a little bit of read aloud from this particular section. Don't confuse your walking seasons in your life with a lifetime of not being able to fly to your destination. A bad day is not a bad life. Shifting your perspective and what you choose to see will help guide you out of your stuck seasons. Okay? Your perception is key during these times. What makes people view the same experience in different ways? Their perspective and their perception. Your perspective is your unique way of seeing something. How are you choosing to see this? Are you choosing to see it as the worst time of your life, as the worst day of your life, as the absolute worst thing that could have ever happened to you? Or are you looking for the silver lining of opportunity? How do you see yourself? How do you see others? Do you see your current situation as this is just how it's going to be? Because if you are doing that, then you need a shift. So today I'm coming to push you into a place where you will be able to shift. You don't want to be stuck. You just need to flip the coin. And the way that we flip the coin from stuck to breaking out is through exposure. So that is our key word. So those of you that are out there, you can drop that in the chat. You can drop down the word exposure. Why is exposure so important when you are feeling like you're in a season where things are not clicking, where you need a win, where you're stuck, where you're in the mundane and you've been doing the same thing over and over, and you know there's more, and you feel there's more, and you're dreaming there's more, and your friends are telling you it's more, but you can't find yourself there? You need exposure. Exposure is the catalyst that's going to flip that coin for you. It's going to flip your coin from a side of being stuck to a side of freedom, growth, and expansion. Challenges and opportunities are not good or bad. Okay. So we all get those. That's a part of life. Okay. So yeah. You got a challenge, you got an opportunity. We have to come to expect that. However, you do get to choose how you see and how you feel in every challenge and opportunity set before you. The challenge of being stuck and breaking out are the same sides, two different sides of the same coin. The opportunity to break forth into an exposed place will give you new experience that will cause you to shift from a place of comfortable pride to a place of humility, learning, growth, and newness. So a lot of times what stops people from doing something new is they're afraid. It's a fear. What if I'm not good at it? What if I'm not accepted? What if someone looks at me funny? What if they don't call me back? What if I'm not liked? What if I don't fit in? But I'm telling you, if you're stuck and you want to break free, you're going to have to place that pride aside and be able to embark upon this new adventure through exposure. Let's talk about what this looks like in comparing and contrasting. When you're stuck, you say things that come up in your vocabulary often. So our mouths betray us. Our words betray us. Why? Because they tell exactly what's in our hearts. So whatever's in your heart, your mouth is going to speak. Why is it always 30 days? Yes, 30 days, 17 days. We know that. Great question, Jennifer. She wants to know why are devotionals always 30 days, or why does it always take 30 days to do something? And that's a wonderful question. Why? Because we know at about the 17-day point, you can make and form a new habit if you are consistent. By the time you double that and get to around that 30-day point, you have this ability to not only break the new habit and to start something new, but you also are starting a new path. Because remember, anytime one thing ends, something new begins. Endings and beginnings are inherently linked together. Every time something stops, something else begins. So that's why if we want to get stuck, if we want to be brought out of a loop, if we want to get unstuck, we have to integrate something new. So let's talk about these thoughts and what comes up. Effort is often forgotten. It is the key element to success. Absolutely, Julia. You have to have effort. We cannot sit around waiting for anyone to do anything for us. Even when we're taking a pause, even when we're taking a breath, even when we have a moment where we're like, okay, I may not be here, but I'm here because I have to try. Okay. I have to get up every day, and having your why, having your reason for getting up every day is going to also propel you. Absolutely. So sometimes, I was saying this a little bit earlier, your mouth will betray what's in your heart because it says it, right? So if you ever want to know what's in someone's heart, listen to how they speak. Listen to what they're talking about. It's going to tell you what's in their heart. So if you are someone and you're always only recognizing what's familiar, then in order to get exposed, you're going to have to grow with new experiences. You're probably also someone that shuns new experiences. Okay. Don't run until you learn to walk. Don't fly until you learn to run. Absolutely, Pauline. I love that statement. It's all the same. You are absolutely correct on that. Thank you guys for joining my author booth. Yes, because there are steps and levels to every single things. Even birds get tired. Listen, guys, we're just gonna flow today. I love this author booth session. Yes, even birds get tired of flying. And what happened, for those of you who don't have the book yet, and if you want to, it's available on Amazon. And also, if you look down below in the Festival of Storytellers, you can see my information there. I'm driving in the car with my son one day, and we're on the way to baseball practice. And I drive really fast. And as we're coming, there were a bunch of birds in the road, and there was this one particular bird that did not want to move. And so he's just walking and perusing in the road like it's what he does every day. And so I began to say, this bird needs to get out of the way. This bird has wings on his back. This, like I'm trying to get to baseball practice because I'm in the rumble and tumble of just being a mom and getting it done and making sure I have this and making sure I have that. And my teenage son, he turns over to me and he says, yeah, Mom, I get what you're saying. I know it has wings on its back, but I need you to understand that even birds get tired of flying. He's walking today. And when my son told me that, I pulled the car over, guys. I pulled the car over. I had an epiphany and I was like, God, this is my book. This is the book that I want to write about, because what my son didn't know was he was giving me language to where I was in my life. Although I had been high functioning and a high achiever, I had gotten to a place in my life where not only was I starting to feel like I can't do these things anymore. I was progressing, but I was progressing differently. I was walking. I had wings on my back, but I was using my legs. And so what that did after that day, I just began to collect my thoughts and I began to write on these walking lessons that I had received in this place of shifting, in this place of exposure to something else, in this place of not being in the everyday, I got to be here, I got to be there. Okay, what's the next thing for me to do? Okay, what's the next degree for me to achieve? Okay, what's the next thing to put the kids in? Okay, what's the next thing? I was able to slow down. And in slowing down, I was able to become present. And this book was birthed from that. It was birthed from those walking lessons that I had to take, because I had to understand that progress wasn't linear. Progress was not linear. If you're anything like I was, I wanted to have a plan for everything. And I realized, okay, so, in 2 years, I'll have this. In 6 months, we'll do this. And 5 years later, we'll have this. But progress did not look like that. Progress didn't always look like a sprint to the finish line. It didn't always look like birds flapping their wings really fast to get where they got to go. It looked like that bird that was in the car that was just walking. Some days are not those days, and that's okay. And this book allowed me to see that. And one of the chapters, that's why we're talking about shifting and becoming unstuck, was this particular thought of, what do you do when you find yourself and the modality is different? And you're just like, okay, I'm gonna just fix up where I am, rather than push change and push past your boundaries and change and take some risks, or you just say, well, you know what? I'm not going anywhere. It's fine for me. It's over for me. I'll just wait. And, maybe my kids will do it. Or maybe, someone else will pick up what I left off. I've kind of been in this place for a while, rather than embracing the fact that you can be a lifelong learner, or always learning to shift your focus into what you can do. Sometimes it's easy to look at what's all around us versus what we actually have that we can do. Most businesses start from at home. They're at-home businesses where people were living their everyday life and they were able to share a good, a service, and a product with someone else. Sometimes we say, well, where I am is good enough. Well, maybe this is just good enough. And I'm fine with this. This is my lot in life. But if we have intentional integration into new spaces, we will be able to embrace a different route. We'll be able to say, okay, walking looks different than flying, but I like it down here. It's okay. I might not be over there flying high, but I may be walking. And for right now, this is actually a really good thing, because in walking, I can stop and smell those flowers. Sometimes we get stuck on one angle, thinking that life Is one line more than yes? We will get stuck on that thing. And listen, guys, I was a 20-year educator. I taught mathematics. So if anybody's routine, it's me. So you would get stuck on one thing because the one thing works, right? And so what have our parents taught us? They taught us the age-old adage that says, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? And so we just get stuck in this loop, and we're constantly on this loop, and we're on this loop, but then we realize, hold up, why am I still doing this? Is this even, yeah, it's working, but is it working for me now or working for the place that I want to go? So that shifting allows us to shift that mindset, allows us to say, okay, this hasn't been linear, but this has been progress. And I can respect that because I am now allowing myself to enjoy the process, to enjoy where I am, regardless of what's going on around me, and to be able to embrace that as a part of my lifelong learning. Okay, so let's talk about this next section that we have with this shifting. When we think about our perspective, it's our unique way of seeing something. So our motives, our point of view, our opinion. Okay, so that's the stuff that gets in our heart that our mouth eventually speaks on. Okay, so we want to know that we have many people and they can view the same thing in different ways. And you wonder why this person went through a really bad experience and they were able to get through it. And this person went through something similar. They went through something similar, but they were drowning because their perspective didn't allow them to see that there was something after this. If you guys don't take away anything else, just know that the best is yet to come. And there's something after this. There's something after the challenge. There's something after the failure, because the failure isn't final. And so when you realize that, you realize, okay, I can take more risks. I can make more mistakes, because in this mistake, I'm going to learn something. I'm going to learn something from this mistake. There's a lesson from me going over here, and I'm much more enriched because now I have another way of doing something. Okay, so we what we see matters, how we perceive matters, our mindset matters, our identity matters. If we shift our focus from our feelings to our true identity and who we are, we're not just where we go to work. We're not just the family we were born in. We're not just the family we created. We're not just the degrees we have on the wall. These are things that are a part of what makes us a person, but they're not our identity. So I have a question. What advice can I give students who are living away from their parents and they're juggling? Can they still enjoy socially and have fun in breaks? Absolutely. Absolutely. You're talking to someone who is currently a doctoral student. I have been in school for so many years. I have many degrees. And one thing that I told my students as when I was their teacher was, you need to be able to enjoy your life. So there's a such thing as balance. And what happens with balance, it means that I'm not putting anything down. Okay, so that's the key. The key is I'm not going to party all weekend when I know I have a test on Monday. The key is balance. So if I'm juggling, okay, I'm doing my budget for the first time. So a lot of kids who go off to school, they don't have their parents with them. That's their first time really managing a budget, managing a certain amount of money, seeing if they need to get a RA job or a job at a store to supplementing their income. So when they're balancing this, they don't just get to say, well, I'm not going to do school because I'm trying to make money, or I'm not going to work because I need to do this. They have to learn integration. And what integration says is my happiness and my importance is just as important as me getting things done. So if your child is already in college, we already know that they're on a path of being an achiever, of being a bird that likes to fly. But they also have to remember that when the homework is done, okay, when the exams are over, that is time to build in small rewards, to have digestible bites where they can just take it. Okay, I'm going to reward myself with this because I completed this. And that gives them the momentum to keep going. There's so much curiosity and fun and inquiry and fun and in play. You learn so many things when you're not in the box. You learn so many things when you can get out there. It reminds me me of the 80s where you just went outside. You might didn't even have anything to play with. You might didn't even have a ball. You would get out there with a rock and a stick, and you would imagine something. So that play part began to tap into your imaginative skills. So just let your student know, let your son, your daughter know that's away in school. Listen, have fun in moderation, because you are up there for a purpose. But while you're having fun, look for opportunities to learn from that fun and see how you can integrate it into your next paper, and it'll make you an even more dynamic writer. So my time is coming to this place where I'm taking you guys questions. I'm in my author booth right now, so my information, if you want to contact me, is all below. So it's a couple of books there. I have a writing guide, It's the Right Time. And I also have my Even Birds book, which I was been talking about today, and which I will be talking about all week with you guys for the Festival of Storytellers. But just the power of, your mindset, the power of being able to shift, the power of knowing that this season is not a lifetime. That will take you through, because I'm telling you, when I went through my darkest moments, when I didn't know where I was going to live, when I was going through a divorce, when I was going through being kicked out of college because my grades wasn't at level, when I was going through not knowing if I was going to have a job, when I was going through having to make a decision of, am I going to put $10 in the gas tank or take $10 to feed the children? When I was going through my lowest moments, what kept me was the fact of knowing that where I am is not where I'm going to be. And if I just keep on walking, if I just keep on walking, I'll get to the other side. So yes, you may not be able to fly like you used to, but if you have legs, keep walking. Yes, it may hurt. Yes, some days you may cry, but just keep walking. Yes, you may be one of those people who say, well, my mobility is not as such. My body is acting up on me. My legs are not working like they used to. But I'm going to tell you, and look at my book, it's telling me to promote my book. I'm just going to tell you guys to keep walking, because I'm telling you, as you walk, the scenery changes. Guys, the scenery changes as you walk. So that is my advice, and that is my admonition unto you on today. Get unstuck through exposure, through new experiences, and walk and keep it moving. You don't have to stay there. Every day that we have breath in our body is a day that we can walk and change our scenery. So if you guys have any questions for me, you can go ahead and drop them in the chat. Some of you were dropping them as I was going along, and I was trying to answer them as we were going in the author booth. But for those of you who have questions at this time, you can go ahead and drop them in the chat, and I will address them. Today's topic was how to get unstuck. Okay, I have another one. How would you describe yourself as a writer? Do you sit down and do writing? Do you wait for inspiration from? Oh, Timothy, I love that. You are absolutely right. I don't sit down and do writing. So as a writer, I am incredibly inspirational, but I write in a journal every day. Now, as a writer, I write thoughts in a journal. So they may not be complete thoughts. They may be something that inspires me, something that I'm pondering upon. I write every day, but it doesn't look like a book. Like, I don't sit there and say I'm writing a book. I'll write this collection of thoughts. And what I'll notice as a time, the thoughts start to coincide, and then I know when another book is coming. So for this book in particular, it's the walk series. After this book is run, and then the next section will be on flying, because I noticed that as I began to put things together, that's how it came about. What advice can you give your younger self looking back? All right, I love that one. The advice that I could give my younger self looking back is slow down. I had to come to the conclusion that I was running a race against myself. I was dealing with pride of pace, because I graduated high school early. I went to college early. I was a high achiever. I was a gifted student. And so I always wanted to be first. I always was in a rush. I always was flying to get somewhere, because I don't know. I had this pride of pace. Like, I just needed to be first. And what life has taught me, what the journey has taught me, it's not about how fast you get somewhere. It is about the journey itself, and being able to have the stamina and the fortitude when you get to those spaces not to burn out. And the way we don't burn out is by not always running to the next big thing, but understanding the steps it took you to get to the stage that you're at. So my advice to younger Ebony would be slow down, baby girl. You got a whole lot of time and you're going to do great things and inspire many people along the way. Any other questions for me? Any other questions? If not, I'm going to tell you all thank you for joining me on the Festival of Storytellers. And yes, I am a storyteller with a million stories. You see my author booth below. If you guys have not registered for the Festival of Storytellers, please go on the website and register so that you can check out tons of authors from Reader's Magnet that are helping all of us get our stories out to the world. Also, you can grab the book below, or it is also available on Amazon. It's also a place where you can contact me on there as well. Okay, so I'm letting you guys all know that particular piece so that we can have that in the row. Thank you so much. When we're thinking about newness, before I get off, guys, I just want to tell you guys about this. When you're thinking about breaking into a new space, when you're thinking about the fear that's connected to that, oh my gosh, what is it going to look like? Oh my gosh, my senses are overriding. What I see doesn't make sense. What I'm hearing doesn't make sense. What I'm feeling doesn't make sense. This is a place where you have to have a bravery, a boldness, a faith, a courage, okay? Even in something as simple as those of you out there who are new writers or you want to become a writer, let me tell you, telling your story can be incredibly scary. This is my first time hearing what is the festival. Okay, so for the next 2 weeks, starting today is our inaugural day. I'm going to answer her question. We're having the Festival of Storytellers. So people who have written books, we all come together to tell our stories, and we get this time and space where we get to share our books and our works and our story, and it brings people in so that probably wouldn't normally know to go on Amazon to purchase it, or you may have never heard of an Ebony Wallace or an Even Bird, or what is that book even about? So it gives you kind of like a live preview into the book before you purchase it. So the Festival of Storytellers is something that you would register for. The sign up is free, and you don't just get me, you get tons of other authors as well. So it's a really cool thing, and it's a really good place for exposure, because remember, if we want to get unstuck, we need exposure. So that's what the Festival of Storytellers does. It really does give you an opportunity for exposure to new people who may not have heard of your book. Okay, so that is what the festival is. Thank you for that question. Thank you for that question. Okay, John, you want to buy our book? John, let me tell you, you're going to love this book. And let me tell you why, because so many men have my book, John. And just because it's purple, look, don't be embarrassed. It is written very concise, because I was a math teacher and I'm used to doing things very concise. So I have pictures, color pictures are in here. You guys are going to love it. Very narrowed down writing, nothing laborious. And then at the end of each very short chapter with these walking lessons, it gives you a place to reflect. It gives you a place to write down your thoughts on how you feel about that particular section. So today we were talking about how to get unstuck, right? So my reflection is here on this page, and it says, are you frustrated in your journey? How will you flip the coin? How will you break out using the tools that were explained in the previous chapter? So I have scriptures in here. I have things to pick you up, because we know, guys, life starts lifing. And when that happens, we have to keep it moving, because so many people are waiting for us to get to the other side. So thank you all for your time. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for your engagement. This was awesome. And I will see you guys back here tomorrow, because we're going to be doing this all week. Yay, yay, yay. And we're going to have a different topic tomorrow. And for those of you that want to grab the book, again, it's available on Amazon. You can check out my booth below. And I just thank you for joining me. And remember, if you get tired of flying, it's okay to walk, because eventually you will fly. Again, thank you guys for your time. Thank you for joining my session. Even Birds Get Tired of Flying, and I am the author, Ebony Wallace.